Because this is a message that Congress has to hear and has to hear often. You can be a hero by cutting the research budget this year, and the economic damage that does, doesn't play out in the next election, but it plays out in the decades to come. It's almost a design failing of democracy, that all of the political incentives are near term, and that causes us to systematically underinvest in things with long-term payoffs, like federally funded research. And so making sure that everyone who works in these buildings here understands that those investments pay off not only 20 years from now, but will pay off in the sort of startup operations you're hearing about today.
We believe, Chris and I understand that the value of science in keeping America a competitive place in a global economy is at the forefront. And we want to make sure that we do everything that enhances the chances that science is honored and esteemed. I also would say, perhaps as an aside, that in my view, science gives the opportunity for policymakers like me to have better answers to difficult questions. So not only is this beneficial to our economy, but it's beneficial to our understanding of the world, so that decisions that we make have more value and have greater consequence, better consequence to the citizens we represent.
Thank you, Jerry, for being a good partner in the Competitiveness Caucus, something that we launched because we saw there was not one area to focus on all the different components of competitiveness globally, to look at tax, trade, intellectual property, innovation, immigration, other policy areas that if we don't get them right, we can reasonably predict that the United States will not be as secure and prosperous and promising a country as it's been. And federal investment in R&D is an absolutely linchpin piece of our being a competitive society going forward.
When I joined the university community, I had no idea the depth and breadth of the science that was happening at most universities, covering essentially all topics of inquiry. And what was particularly surprising to me was how commercially relevant so many of these inventions are. And a surprising number of those turn into products that are heading towards the market that will either save or improve people's lives. There were nearly 1,000 new startups created last year based on research emerging from the American universities, according to Autumn. But it's easy to hear those numbers and not necessarily have them have context. Because each one of those companies, if they succeed, will be something that you will all and your children and your children's children will be using in everyday life, and sometimes may actually save their lives.
My name is Carmela Abraham. I'm a professor of biochemistry and pharmacology at Boston University School of Medicine. I'm the co-founder of Klogene Therapeutics, which is working on an Alzheimer's disease drug. I would like to ask the audience who has somebody that they know in a family or among friends or neighbors that have Alzheimer's disease. As you can see, too many of us, yes. The company is funded by a $1.5 million of a small business innovation research grant from the National Institute of Aging, and has 6 employees right now, some full-time and some part-time. The drug we are developing has potential in a number of other neurodegenerative diseases, as well as in multiple sclerosis. The original research was funded also by the National Institute of Health, National Institute of Aging, and the grant number was AG for Aging 0001. It was the first grant, a program project grant that was awarded to Boston University from the Aging Institute. And we had it for 38 years. So over a period of a dozen years, based on this funding, my lab discovered that a certain gene called klotho, that was named after the Greek goddess who spins the thread of life, one of the 3 daughters of Zeus, does not function as well as we age. The research that followed in our lab showed that increasing the activity of this neuroprotective gene would prevent neurodegeneration and cognitive decline, such as in Alzheimer's disease, other neurodegenerative diseases, but also it can enhance cognition during normal aging. Success means to me a drug that will prevent, treat, or cure Alzheimer's disease and other brain diseases and save $250 billion today and up to $1 trillion by 2050 in healthcare, but also much human suffering. And because I've been starting this research exactly 37 years ago, it will be just wonderful to culminate my career with finding a drug for Alzheimer's disease.